What is up, everybody? My name is Frankie W and welcome back to my life. This is the first video on my channel for 2024 after my 1 second a day.
So that was a fucking lie.
And this happened last year as well. Like, it's well into March.
Okay.
When we're doing our recap videos. And I was gonna make excuses for myself, shame myself. I just didn't feel like making videos, and I don't think you should make videos if you don't feel like it. I also think I was in a little bit of a slump, but we're back. This is a hat that I got from Hypeland. I can't tell if it's working. Tell me what you think. We're here to recap every single film that I watched in 2023. To save me some time, I split it up between January to June and then July to December. So it's kind of half the year, 6 months one way, 6 months the other way. So we'll do the first 6 months in this video. In the next video, we'll do the next 6 months. And then I have a little bit of stats, but like not that much. I recently got Letterboxd. This is my first year with Letterboxd. And that's so funny because Elizabeth has been hounding me to get one for so long and I never did. And then actually the reason I got it is because Thomas told me not to. So I guess I just don't listen to my friends well enough. But I decided to get Letterboxd, especially since a lot of my film friends are in New York and I'm in LA by myself. So I was like, that's another way for us to keep track of what everyone's watching. Also, at the end of the year, Elizabeth posts this recap Instagram story thing where she says how many films she watched that year. And every year, I'm kind of guessing. So this is my first year actually knowing how many films I watched in a year. And my goal for 2024 is about 182 films. That would be what 365 is divided in half. We'll see if that is an attainable goal for me. I think I watch films a lot more than I read, so my reading goal is a lot lower. But I love film. I love movies. I went to film school. I like films to just be fun. Spoiler alert, in the second half of this video, when we talk about The Marvels, that was a fun movie. And y'all just don't want to have fun. That's pretty much it. I don't rate films usually. I'm not really into rating things in general because art is subjective. But I did rate some of them. So if I did rate them, I'll let you know. So let's start with January. In the month of January, I officially watched 6 films. The first one I watched was Straight Outta Nowhere, the Scooby-Doo meets Courage the Cowardly Dog 2021 film. I'd never seen it before. I didn't even know that there was a collab between Courage the Cowardly Dog and Scooby-Doo, but I was so excited to see it. Those are 2 Boomerang Cartoon Network properties that I love so much. Next, I saw The Woman King. I saw it on my flight to Los Angeles when I was apartment hunting. Then we have Everything Everywhere All at Once. This film was really big in 2022. I missed the wave. I wanted to see it senior week with Maddie and Elizabeth, but I think something scheduling wise happened, so we weren't able to. So I didn't get to see it, but they both had already. So this is my first time seeing it. Absolutely loved it. Want to see it again. I want to see it 1,000 times. Michelle Yeoh and Stephanie Sue are just so talented, and Ki Hui Kwan, like James Hong. It's such a brilliant cast, and I think they do something really magnificent with that film, and I gave it 5 stars. Next was The Talented Mr. Ripley. I don't think I was in the right headspace when I watched this movie. Something about this movie just didn't sit with me. It came on the TV right after Everything Everywhere All at Once, and I was kind of looking at my mom like, why are we watching this film? And then I saw You People. There was actually the You People premiere. So through One Iota, which is this ticketing app where you can get free tickets to see films, I was able to get tickets to the premiere for my mom and I, specifically because Eddie Murphy. I didn't really know anything about this film. My mom is a big Eddie Murphy fan, and I was like, if he's in the room, she'll be excited. I did not like this movie. They have so many thoughts on it, and I was gonna link Yara Zaid's, I think this is how you pronounce it, is Zaid. Yara Zaid made a really good video about her opinions on You People and how she preferred Guess Who with Bernie Mac and Ashton Kutcher and Zoe Saldana. That video no longer exists on YouTube, so I can't link it, but I would say I did not like this movie, but being in an audience full of everyone that's laughing, you kind of laugh along. And I think I thought it was funnier than it was when I was watching it with my mom. And then afterwards I was like, why was that funny? You know? And the last movie I watched in January was Avatar: The Way of Water. My mom and I, in 2022, in the end of my Everything I Watched in 2022 video, I mentioned seeing Avatar again in December. So my mom and I watched Avatar in preparation for Avatar: The Way of Water, and we watched it in theaters. Spoiler alert, if you don't know, if you haven't seen it yet, skip. But Avatar: The Way of Water has a very big and emotional death in it, and is the death of the older brother. For those who don't know me, I lost my older brother in 2021, so a lot of storylines that kind of revolve around siblings and familial bonds and like lose the loss of a child make my mom and I ugly cry. So it was an emotional ride, but it was a really good movie and it was really beautiful. I don't understand how we're gonna get 2 more of those movies. Like, the amount of time that is spent on each one, I have no idea how old I'll be when the last one comes out. So I saw 6 movies in the month of January. My favorite was Everything Everywhere All at Once. My least favorite was You People. February. So in February, I again watched 6 movies. And I actually rated every single movie I saw in February, so this will be a doozy. First, The Sea Beast, 2022. I gave it 3 stars. It's a pretty basic story of scary monster isn't actually as scary and bad as we think it is. But there's this one scene that the animators made where the little girl is just in the ocean and the monster is staring at her. And truthfully, if I was a kid, I think I would have nightmares from it. Like, it actually, I was like, why? Why would you do that? Like, what? Oh my god, it was terrifying. I gave it 3 stars because I liked it. 3 stars for me is a good or an okay. If I didn't like a film, I wouldn't give it a star at all. So, or I'd give it 1, or I'd give it -1. So me giving it 3 stars is saying it was good. It just wasn't my favorite. Next would be Shotgun Wedding. Shotgun Wedding is one of those Amazon Prime J-Lo movies that she's been coming out with. Another wedding one. I saw Marry Me last year. I gave it 3.5 stars. It was a sleeper movie. I was surprised how funny it was. I would say 3.5. 3.5 leaning towards 4. A 3.75, if you will. It's actually really funny. It's kind of predictable. Lenny Kravitz shows up. Yeah, it's a silly one. Next, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I saw this in theaters with Brendan and Joe, and I have an Ant-Man popcorn bucket in my kitchen. A 3.5 stars, and one of the main reasons is Scott Lang's daughter. I don't even remember her name, but not only was this film like mostly CGI and like not a lot of character building, and it felt like hope wasn't there for a reason. Catherine Newton is playing Scott Lang's daughter. I can't remember her name. It's not Catherine Newton's fault. It's kind of like how the script was set up, but his daughter is like this social justice warrior. And it's like the way that she shames her dad for wanting to just live his life after like disappearing and like the snap and saving the world. And it's like she complains to him that he's not doing enough to save the world when she's just doing like a lot of performative things. And like, what good does she do by shrinking a cop car? Like, it just showed her privilege and the ability that she had to be like, you're not doing enough to her dad. It was, the storyline missed me. Okay. Next would be Roald Dahl's Matilda the Musical. I give it 5 stars, 10 out of 10. It's Alicia Ware. I don't know if that's how you say her name. She will be in Abigail 2024, and I mention that just because I've been working on that film. But I loved her. I love Alicia. She's so cute. She is a star. She's an amazing singer. The musical was just so... One of the songs ended up in my Spotify Wrapped.
Is unbelievably unlikely.
I'm not a singer. Watch the film. Don't listen to me. And next would be Cocaine Bear. Cocaine Bear, I give 4 stars. It is my first premiere that I actually worked this year, or last year. We're talking in the past tense. For those who don't know, I was in NBC Page. I was part of the Page program. My first rotation was in digital film marketing for Universal. I worked on a lot of the promotion and marketing for films. That is a lot of films farther down the line will be like Universal or Focus Features films, because that's just what I was surrounded with. But Cocaine Bear was like such a fun and interesting story. Elizabeth Banks does such a cool job. Like, I don't know. I think it's a one-off movie. I don't think it needs a sequel or anything like that. But I do think it was such a fun, just like mindless movie. Because I think sometimes people expect movies to be like this genre-bending, impactful answer to the universe. And I think Cocaine Bear was just good fun, and I had fun watching it, and I worked the premiere, which is crazy. Lastly was Megan. I personally did not... I gave it a 3.5 stars, which is not bad, but it's lower than Cocaine Bear. I think if I saw Megan and then Cocaine Bear, it might have been higher. I think it wasn't as scary as I expected it to be. Like, I think I watched the trailers expecting it to be more horror than it was comedy, and it was definitely a horror comedy, and I think you have to be in the right headspace for those. Ergo, Cocaine Bear. I knew what I was getting into. It's a bear on cocaine. Like, Megan Megan was such a unique concept. Also, Gemma's character pissed me off. I'm just saying. That's pretty much everything I watched in February. That was 6 films. My favorite of the month will be Matilda the Musical. My least favorite, I'm actually going to go with Ant-Man. Even though the Sea Beast got a lower rating, I didn't need to see Ant-Man. Like, after seeing it, I was like, why did I feel like it didn't really... I don't think it pushed along the plot. I mean, okay, like King the Conqueror. Yeah, King didn't even seem that villainous in it. Like, I don't know. I don't think it pushed forward the storyline that they were going to have for King the Conqueror. Even though that's probably not going to happen anymore. But you know what I mean. Next, March. March is the shortest watch month for me. 2 amazing films in it. So in March, I only watched Puss in Boots, The Last Witch, at this influencer screening. Juju Green, or Straw Hat Goofy, hosted a influencer screening at DreamWorks Academy and had a Q&A session with the director, and I was allowed to go, and I brought Thomas, and I got to take photos at the photo booth. And this is also the event where there was an airdropped video of Death doing the Megan dance, which I think was such a cool concept. And then the second film I watched in March was Scream 6. What can you say? Melissa Barrera is such an amazing actress, and personally, I didn't dislike her in the first one, even though, like, I had a friend, I'm not gonna say who, one of my friends did, like, tell me how they didn't think that Melissa Barrera was, like, a good actress because of In the Heights and then Scream 5. I disagreed. I argued with them about it because I thought that Melissa Barrera brought such an interesting new character to us, and we were just getting used to her in the first one, and then she really made the character her own in this one, and I loved Scream 6. I loved it. I think it was like a little predictable. Also, someone posted the reveal on Twitter the day after the movie came out. The movies are kind of back. Like, obviously Barbenheimer, like, definitely made people think the movies were back. Like, the movies were back, but why are you revealing the ending? Like, usually, I don't have Twitter anymore. I'm not gonna have Twitter ever again, you know, since Elon Musk thinks that cisgender is a slur. But we used to have common courtesy where we'd wait a week or two before we would talk about a film. But now everyone's jumping out. Like, I remember Wakanda Forever. Oh my goodness. Wakanda Forever came out and immediately everyone knew, spoiler, Michael B. Jordan was back in it. And it was like, whoa, 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 whoa. The movie came out today. What are we doing? Anyway, those are the 2 movies I watched in March. I loved both of them. I don't have a least favorite of the month. And on to April. April is actually the month where I watched the most films so far. In the month of April, I watched 29 films. We're just gonna bang them out and then I'll talk about some of my favorites at the end. So, 1001, The Menu, The Cabin in the Woods, The Book of Life, Prom Pact, Disenchanted, Trolls Band Together, Bullet Train, Hey Arnold, The Jungle Movie, Praise This, The Super Mario Bros. Movie, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Batman Assault on Arkham, Justice League Gods and Monsters, Justice League versus the Fatal Five, Green Lantern Beware My Power, Moxie, Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion, Bridesmaids, The Atom Project, Six Underground, Blackpink Light Up the Sky, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, Polite Society, Justice Society, World War II, Superman Red Sun, Superman/Batman Apocalypse, All Together Now, and Yes Day. Whew. Collecting my breath. So this is also the month that a lot of rewatches happen because I rewatched some of my favorite movies, but let's talk about the new ones first. 1001 was a Focus Features special screening. I want to say it was the gold screening, the gold premiere. There was a Q&A with the director and our main actress afterwards. I'm so upset that Polite Society was like kind of swept under the rug in 2023. It was an amazing movie and I think more people should have seen it. I think it deserved more praise. I will tell everyone about Polite Society. I loved it so much. It's such a good movie. It's actually one of my favorite movies this month. 1001, which is, I actually saw it, I want to say either the first or second day of April after the Stray Kids concert. I think it was April 1st. Jordan and I went to a Focus Feature screening of 1001, which stars Teyana Taylor. It was a beautiful story, and I think it was such an important story that needed to be told. Really quickly, Praise This. I just love the movie. I think Angelica Washington is going to be a star. Like, truthfully, she's so funny. I don't know if it's Angelica or Angelica because I feel like I've heard people say it both ways. Angelica/Angelica was so good in this and so funny. And I'd never heard of Lauren Lott before this, but now I get her TikToks all the time. I love her. Oh my goodness. I have to talk about Prom Pact. Okay, so Prom Pact was actually one of my least liked films of the month, but one of the reasons I truly watched it was because I am a sucker for Milo Manheim. I don't know what to tell you, but I wanted to say, okay, LaToya, I don't remember her last name, but they give her a first and last name in the film, but Monique Green, who plays LaToya, Blake Draper, Peyton Elizabeth Lee, and Milo Manheim are like the four. Monique Green is like technically a part of the fourth, like the four of them. I don't know how to explain this. I'm annoyed, but then they like did all the advertising where it was only about Milo Manheim, Peyton Elizabeth Lee, and Blake Draper, and they kind of just kicked Monique Green out, and I was like, what? But she's his love interest, and like it was just kind of annoying that they only put the three of them on the cover and it made it seem like it was going to be a love triangle when Milo Manheim has a whole girl in this. That's not even the reason I watched the film, though. The reason I watched the film was because of the CGI audience that I saw on TikTok, and I went to look for it, and I'll tell you, first glance, I didn't see it, so I guess it works. Then I paused, and I started cackling. Like, I took a video, sent it to Chris. I was losing my fucking mind. The CGI audience looked bad. It looked really, really bad. I think you should just pay for extras. Sorry, Disney. Also, it wasn't a Disney Channel movie. It was a Disney Plus movie. This little boy And I'm saying that because Milo Manheim and I, I'm pretty sure, are the same age, but he's playing like a 17 or 18-year-old, and he's working at this grocery store, and there's this freshman that wants to talk to him about having a date or being mature. I don't know, but he's like, I'm talking about P in thee. Where is your mother? So that was the month of April. I watched about 29 films. My favorite of the month would be Polite Society 1001 and Praise This, just because I got to work on it. I loved the soundtrack. My disappointing new watches would be The Prom Pact, like I mentioned before, and Disenchanted. I didn't even mention I saw Disenchanted besides the recap, and I'll be honest with you, I have nothing to say about it. It was an unnecessary addition to the franchise, and I feel like a lot of the magic from the first one was gone, but Maya Rudolph can slay. Okay, on to May. In May, I watched 15 movies. There are only 2 rewatches in this month, and everything else was new. So first, I started off the month rewatching Peppermint. It's one of my comfort movies, which is crazy, but like Peppermint and Colombiana, and then just like that good for her genre of films where they're just revenge murdering people. Love it. Then I watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Fucked me up. Wow. And a lot of people aren't going to watch it because of the animal cruelty warning, and I understand that, and I respect that, and I won't hold it against you, but also you should watch this movie. I sobbed so much. Also, random, on the way up to the theater, ran into Mason Gooding and Tony Revolori, but I don't think Tony realized we were talking to him, and I was like, you're so good in Scream, blah, 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 didn't hear me. Then I look, and Mason Gooding's like, thanks. And I was like, oh my god, you were so good in Scream too. Then Fast X, then The Legion of Superheroes, Bama Rush, Scooby-Doo Legend of the Phantasaur, Texas Chainsaw 3D, Scooby-Doo and the Gourmet Ghost, Scooby-Doo and the Beach Beastie, Scooby-Doo Moon Madness, Scooby-Doo Shaggy's Showdown, Scooby-Doo Ghastly Goals, Scooby-Doo and Kiss Rock and Roll Mystery, Scooby-Doo Franken-Creepy, and The Little Mermaid. I watched a lot of Scooby-Doo this month. Scooby-Doo Franken-Creepy has the most insane editing, and I don't know what the editors of that film specifically were on, but it was insane. The only other thing I will say is The Little Mermaid happened this month. I give it 4 stars. Even if I didn't like this movie, I would have given it a high rating because everyone's review bombing it because of racism. Halle Bailey is a national treasure. Halle Bailey is a national treasure. I will support her in everything that she fucking does. My favorite movie of the month was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. My least favorite was Bama Rush. This is the last thing I will talk about when it comes to May, and this might take a minute. I definitely want to also say that it's probably not on the director and it's on the marketing team for trying to make it seem like it was going to be this big expose when it wasn't. But also, there are different types of documentaries, if you did not know that. Most, if not all of them, unless the subject is your family, you do not insert yourself into... My eye is twitching. That's how annoyed I am. You don't insert yourself into the storyline, into the plot, into the research that's being done. And it felt like 2 stories were happening. And I don't want to come off as disrespectful. I don't want to come off as like diminishing her life experience. But the director has alopecia. And she does this thing where she brings it up in the strangest way. Like, I'm not trying to discredit it or hinder it or talk about her experiences, but she says that these girls who are participating in Rush and getting dressed up are equivalent to her putting on a wig to go about society because of her alopecia. These girls are purposely putting themselves in this situation where they can be a part of this exclusive, historically racist, and problematic society. And it was so interesting how She was trying to relate to sorority culture, even though she's not a part of it. I'm not a part of sorority culture. I have friends that are, and I feel like I could have even done more explaining about Bama Rush than this video did. I feel like I know more from Gracie O'Connor's YouTube channel. And I was a Gracie O'Connor watcher before this, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to watch the documentary. Because I was like, oh, she's in it. She was in it for 5 seconds. Also, fun fact, they talk not at all about the D9. And for those who don't know, the D9 is what's referred to as like the Divine Nine for Black sororities and fraternities, like the AKA and the Deltas. They don't speak to a single person in a Divine Nine sorority or fraternity. Instead, they talk to a Black girl who didn't do it. And that is the entire representation of Black Greek culture. And it's like, you want to do this expose about a very racist, oh my God, and they want to talk about the machine, and it's just like, there's so much history in Alabama, there's so much history about that, and she did none of the research. And sure, that might not have been what the documentary's aims were, but how would I know that? I don't even know what the point of this film was. Truthfully, I don't know what the point of this film was. And that makes me more upset because I wasted my time. I was literally so interested and I wasted my time. And instead, I'm going to suggest, if you do want to know more about sororities, it's kind of funny though, because she's British, so she doesn't know how to say it, but Jordan Teresa did a really, really good video about it, and it's like information that I already know, but like listening to an outsider give the information, I think is really interesting. I'll link that below if you do want to learn more about Greek culture if you don't know it, and I'm talking about like college Greek life, not Greek. That's honestly all I have to say about May. Let's end this. Last month that we're going to talk about in this video is June. In June, I watched 13 films. The first film I watched this month would be Trick or Treat Scooby-Doo, which is lesbian, or at least bisexual. I'm pretty sure lesbian Velma. They've always wanted to have lesbian Velma. Producers never let the writers do it, but we have lesbian Velma who's in love with a criminal in this one, guys. It's so interesting. The animation is crazy. And then Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse came out, and I saw it for my birthday, actually. I saw it with Katrina, Isaiah. Isaiah got me a poster, which was so nice. But we all saw Spider-Verse together, which was so nice. And then I saw it again with my other friends. Right before we went to Gov Ball, I saw it with Chris, Mira, Kiva, Zoe, Lauren. That's all of them. And I'm glad that wasn't my first time seeing it, because the screen, it was like a mom and pop theater, so I wanted to support a local business, but the screen was too small, so like the words were getting cut off on the side, like the little spider comments that get popped up. Also, there was a man snoring. So I'm really glad I saw it another time before that, but I feel really bad for like Mira and Lauren, whose first time it was, I believe, but really loved that film, and I will watch it multiple times. Like Miles Morales has always been my favorite Spider-Man, like since back in the day, but not too far back in the day. He didn't exist for a while, but he's my favorite Spider-Man now that he exists. The next film on the list would be Asteroid City. This was my first Wes Anderson film, and the thing is, you have to go in this film just not trying to find meaning and going for vibes. And I realized kind of halfway through I was supposed to be there for vibes. But in the beginning, I was like, I don't understand what's happening. And that's my own fault. Next, we have Scooby-Doo WrestleMania Mystery and Scooby-Doo and WWE Curse of the Speed Demon. I was a WWE girl. I don't think I've ever admitted that to anyone. I was a WWE girl at one point in my life. Let's not talk about it. But I didn't know that they made Scooby-Doo WrestleMania, Scooby-Doo WWE movies. So I was like, oh, I have to watch these. And they just brought like nostalgia to my heart. I loved it. And then I watched The Blackening. So I would like to note that some of these films, because I think it happens for Talk to Me as well, some of these films had theatrical releases after they were released. So Letterboxd says that The Blackening came out in 2022. The theatrical release was in 2023. I saw The Blackening on Juneteenth with Cara and Sierra and absolutely loved it. I think I remember watching Dwayne Perkins' skit for The Blackening before it became a film. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. Such a good film, such a good script, so funny, and like the comedy and the horror were really balanced out. Also, I so predicted the murderer, and then I got like kind of thrown off, but I so predicted it, and it's so obvious, and they make it obvious on purpose. So it's almost like a red herring, and it worked. Like I truly was second guessing myself because I was like, what do you mean by that? And yeah, I love The Blackening. Then Scooby-Doo and the Spooky Scarecrow, Scooby-Doo and the Samurai Sword, Scooby-Doo Stage Fright, 3 more I don't know. I was trying to watch every single Scooby-Doo movie that existed and that was on Max, and I got really close, I think. And then I watched Shiva Baby. I was surrounded by Jewish culture as a youngin'. I thought it was very normal, like we had off on Jewish holidays. That is not the case for most places, I guess, but I just think I went to school with a big Jewish population. But so I knew what Shiva was. I had never seen this film before, and it was my introduction to that director. Emma Seligman would also do Bottoms. I wanted to watch Shiva Baby as an introduction, and then I saw that Rachel Sennott was in it, and I was like, ooh. And then Everybody is a documentary film about intersex people, their experience, their life, having just an open conversation with different intersex people and intersex activists. And it was a Focus Features film, so I went to a Focus Features screening of it, and it had a Q&A with the director, and I want to say 2 of the people that were showcased in the film, and I had this really interesting conversation with someone from the Focus Features team about just the opportunity to see that film, and I don't think I would have been able to otherwise with like Focus. I love seeing films with like Focus Features and their like free screenings they do, because I think it's a really good way to kind of broaden your horizons and your experiences, because there were so many artisanal or just smaller films that Focus like released this year in opposition to like Asteroid City being their big one. All of the smaller films that I've mentioned, like, or I call them small in comparison to Asteroid City, because Asteroid City I feel like was a blockbuster moment, but like 1001, Polite Society, Everybody. There were so many smaller, lesser known films that came out this year that were so impactful to different people, and I just think that was so amazing, and I'm really glad that I got to see them. And the last film I'm gonna talk about is Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. Another movie I think got too much hate. Y'all say you want new animated stories, new interesting animated stories, and then when you get original content, you don't like it. I think it was cute. I think it was made for a certain age demographic, obviously, but I thought it was still a really nice time. I liked it. I like the Gilmans. And those were all the films that I watched in 2023 from January to June. So that was 71 films and only 9 rewatches, which I think is a pretty good amount of new films that I saw this year. If you want to see the films or keep up with the films that I watch in a year, you should follow me on Letterboxd. If you want to keep up with me on my day-to-day, you should follow me on Instagram. And if not, you should just subscribe, because I like to talk about films. And I will be posting monthly recaps of the films I watch now. Mark my words. Once these come out, you'll see them. And then I won't have to make this really, really long video at the end of the year, because you've already seen these. Anyway, Thanks so much for watching. Bye.